My flowers are all clean. I want to make a really beautiful, hardy, fat, sumptuous arrangement with all these gorgeous blossoms, something akin to a flower flash. I actually have this beautiful vessel, which will soon be available on our website. We had these made with a glass blower in New England, and this is our version of a very elegant New York City trash can. So this gorgeous piece will be available soon, but if any sort of large, low vessel that you have, it could even be a piece of crockery. You may have a vase already. Maybe it's something that you keep the wooden spoons in your kitchen. Something with a large water reservoir, a large opening, and we're gonna do our own little miniature flower flash with all these fabulous like fat blossoms and just create something really amazing. So, step one, make sure this is really clean. Step two, you wanna have clean water. I'm not even gonna bother with flower food. I just like to put a little bit of a splash of vodka in the water, and that just helps to disinfect and kill any of the bacteria and stuff that happens when the stems start to break down. And I'm gonna fill this up 2/3 of the way. I wanna make sure that I have plenty of water, and as the days go by, you wanna top this off because these are spring bulbs, and spring bulbs all tend to grow. The tulips, the hyacinths, the anemones, not the ranunculus so much, but they all continue to grow after being cut. They require a lot of water, so they're heavy drinkers. Make sure they get a fresh top off every day. I am going to start with, well, I've got these amazing tulips, and this is my favorite way to design, is kind of by the handful. I'm gonna just start and take maybe 3 at a time and cup them in my hand. I want them to fall over the edge because they have these big, beautiful individual blossoms that really kind of fall. I'm gonna work my way around the perimeter of the vessel. I'm gonna cut it about a couple of inches from the top, making sure the stems go all the way to the bottom, and also realizing and knowing that this flower will continue to grow, which is what I want it to continue to grow and fall over and flop over and really kind of create something very romantic and very, very full. So let me get a few more in. Put a few in the front here. So I'm working my way around the perimeter of the vase. Everything's touching the bottom. Now I want to get these hyacinths in, and what I like about this proportion of a container is that I really don't have to cut these. And here's the thing, I learned this actually not that long ago, after years of working with hyacinths and flowers. Obviously, if you want to make a smaller arrangement, which I'll make in the next video, you're going to have to lop these down to a more manageable size. If we can manage to not take off this fleshy white part that's about the size of a thumb, if we can manage to not take that off, this blossom will get so much bigger and so much fatter. It will get probably at least 3 inches taller, and the circumference will get quite wide, and they smell amazing. There's something about this little thing here that almost acts like a battery pack that just continues, like it just feeds this whole bulb and causes it to get so large. Now, if we need to cut it shorter, it will continue to grow. It's just not going to get so amazingly gigantic. So, because we have this great kind of proportion of this fullness, I don't have to do anything. Again, have you seen me cut this stem once? No. So I'm not going to start now. I'm just going to go ahead and start. Maybe I'll take a few of these, loose pieces off. But just fill in. I love the greenery. It feels fresh like grass and very spring-like and optimistic. And fill in. And even if I just get 5 or 6 of them in here, it really fills it up nicely. Now, I just like to kind of spin around. I'm actually going to add a few more. Get one right here in the center. And these two will continue to fill out. So, next, let me get some more tulips in. So I've got my tulips flopping over the edge, but I want to get some inside a little bit deeper. So I'm going to cut these a little bit lower, a little bit shorter, and really kind of tuck them in so they nestle next to the hyacinths and fill in this center section here. Now my overall look here is I want something that just feels very natural. I mean, look at how beautiful that is. So that one actually looks so great. He's going to spill over right like that. Something that looks very natural, not forced. You want the flowers all to have room to open up. You can always just kind of get in there and lightly jiggle the flowers around and let them fall into place. Now we can fill in with some of these incredible anemones. Anemones also grow, which I love. So they have this sort of collar. It's like almost like an Elizabethan collar of greenery around the base, but they start to grow from the top of this collar up. So you can see where it's starting to elongate, and it will continue to do that. So with that in mind, allow it to like give it enough room to continue to do its thing. So again, it's just about having a light touch. Now look at this one. Look at how that's really grown up. That a day or so was about 2 inches lower. And if this foliage gets in the way and there's too much discrepancy between the bottom of the collar of leaves and the blossom, you can always gently remove these with your fingers and tuck it in a little bit lower. Again, I'm just giving everything a fresh cut, and I want this to feel very full and layered without feeling contrived or packed. You want to have things at different heights. You want to be able to see the flowers as much as possible. I love this magenta with the black center against the pale pink and the lavender. Kind of grouping and working your way in a circular fashion around the edge of the container. And again, and it's like my trick, I always just like to get in there very lightly with my hands and just let things kind of fall into place. Let's see, I can add another hyacinth here. The hyacinths take up a lot of room because they have thick stems and they have their foliage on them still. Obviously, if any of the greens are bad, you want to take that off, but that squeaky sound is a good sound. That means everything's nice and hydrated. I will continue to add more tulips in. Now my tulips are probably further developed than yours will be when you make your arrangement. So if yours aren't this full yet, know that in a day or so they will become very full and flouncy just like this. And I like a little bit of that foliage sticking out. Okay. Got one more back here. Every once in a while, it's good to kind of stand back and just squint, look at your shape. The idea is you want flowers to feel really fresh. You don't want them to feel contorted or overly arranged. This is flowers that you want to live with. It needs to have a sort of effortless quality about it, and not, I really am not wanting to having tortured flowers. So don't overthink it, and you really can't go wrong. Let me add another anemone on the top here, and then I will stab in a few ranunculus and call it a day. Okay. Lastly, now ranunculus are not going to continue to grow, but they will open up. They open up quite large. They're quite a flat flower. I'm going to pull this little bud off. I'll add that later. Give this a cut. And these can be a little bit taller. Okay, that pink looks great in there. And again, just run your eyes over the petals. If there's anything that's slightly discolored, you want to just remove it, because there's a lot of buds in here and this will continue to open up quite large. It's a good idea maybe if you sort of support the ranuncula head, if it's almost nestled in a little bit, because sometimes it tends to open up, but because the head gets quite heavy and the net can get weak, it can kind of hook over a little bit. So if it's nestled up against another flower, that will continue to let it do its thing and give it some support so it can open up fully. Okay, so that's about all there is to it. So just let this thing grow. In a day or so, these hyacinths are going to grow up to here. The anemones will continue to grow. I love flowers, it's spring flowers that continue to grow, because every day, they're shapeshifters. Every morning it's going to look a little bit different, and the flowers will naturally sort of relax into place and have something that's just really very spirited and fresh for your home.